Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the fourth and final episode of Designer Diaries, a series where I break down the main important aspects of every architecture project at university and provide you with as much support to help you along your way. This week, we'll be discussing technical and sustainable integration. Please feel free to make notes along the way, and don't forget to save the video to re-watch it when you get to this stage of your architecture project. So, without further ado, grab your notepad and your pen and let's get into it. So, what is technical and sustainable integration? Technical aspects to implement in your project include: number 1, structural integration and efficiency. Number 2, construction techniques. Number 3, material selection. Number 4, smart building technology. And number 5, universal design and accessibility. So, what are some of the sustainable elements that we can integrate in the project and how the building operates? Well, number 1, we have passive house design strategies. Number 2, energy efficient systems. Number 3, water conservation and reuse. Number 4, retrofitting and reusing existing structures. And number 5, renewable energy integration. It's really important that you start integrating the technical and sustainable elements of your project from early on, in order to continue the process of developing your sophisticated schemes. Your tutors will question your methods, but they will also provide you with lots of resources and support material. So make sure you have lots of fun with it and keep pushing forward. The importance of technical and sustainable design cannot be overstated in architecture, as it represents a fundamental shift in creating buildings that not only fulfill functional requirements, but also minimize environmental impact and, if anything, they promote long-term viability. Technical design ensures that buildings are structurally sound, that they are safe, resilient, and meeting performance standards. By integrating structural principles into the architectural design, buildings can withstand forces of nature, support complex forms, and optimize material usage. On the other hand, sustainable design seeks to minimize the environmental footprint of the building. This is done in a variety of ways, such as reducing energy consumption, conserving water resources, and using materials wisely. It recognizes the interconnectedness of the built environment and nature, striving to create spaces that enhance human health, well-being, and connection to nature. Combining technical and sustainable design approaches into your buildings will not only mean that they're cost effective and durable, but it will also contribute to a much more sustainable future for generations to come. And the final chapter of this week's episode of Designer Diaries for technical and sustainable integration is resources and precedents. Here are a list of resources that can help you when you get to this stage of your project. Number 1, detail inspiration. Now, this was a resource that was free for us students when I was in architecture school, and I think that's because the university or the School of Architecture paid for a license to allow all architecture students to have access to detail inspiration. So make sure you check out with your university if they have the same thing as well. And if they don't, then push them to get it for you. It's a website full of so many precedents, and it includes projects that have had their technical details drawn up, and it allows you to fully kind of investigate and immerse yourself into the proper details of the buildings and how they're constructed, different materials, different junctions. It's got a plethora of precedents, and it's actually really inspiring because even though you're looking for technical details and technical work to help you when you're at that stage of your project, even looking at the way that the buildings are designed and the spaces are created can really kind of help you and inspire you when you're at the design concept phase of your project. Number 2, books at university. My tutors always had a handful of books around, whether it was in the studio or whether they recommended books that we take out from the library. Now, although it might be daunting, I really recommend you go through all the books that you need for your project. It's a no-brainer really. When you have all the resources at your fingertips, then I really think that you should immerse yourself in absorbing as much information as you can, because you can go through the books, you can highlight and annotate, well, maybe not in the book, but on your own notebook, but you can kind of understand the way that systems and junctions and details are working. And even if it's not junctions and details, the way that different materials have been composed together, you can create a list of questions for yourself and then take that list of questions to your tutorials to then ask your tutors about it. Because the way that I really think that you will benefit from your studio sessions and your kind of the one-to-one sessions that you have with your tutors is to have a good decent list of questions to ask them, because that will then invite the conversation, and when you're inviting the conversation, you're helping yourself to develop into a much more sophisticated designer, in my opinion. Some of the books that helped me when I got onto the structural stage of my project include The Structural Basis of Architecture, Architectural Structures, Building Construction and Technology, Structure as Architecture, and Building Construction Illustrated by Francis D.K. Ching. For integrating sustainable elements into my project, I really kind of took the lead from my tutors, who inspired me by giving me a list of precedents that would fit within the scope of my own project. And then I took that list that they gave me and expanded out from there. I think one important notion that you should consider when you're researching precedents is that you don't have to pinpoint a specific project based on the typology that you're choosing to create in your work. Take the precedents, whether it's technical precedents, sustainable precedents, and really investigate into the way that they have been constructed, the way that they've been built, and the way that they've been implemented in those schemes. Then take that knowledge that you have and work to emulate that style and in a way replicate it, but approach it in a different way so that it fits your own project. So you might look at projects that have implemented something to do with sustainability for airports or something to do with public transportation, and you think that's actually really interesting. That concept that they've created, that concept that they have implemented, and the impact and the effects that has had on that environment and the people who are using that space, how can I then reapproach that and apply that same technique to a project, a residential project that I might be doing? I think that's really important, because you can get so hooked up on being like in your own head, this project's for this, I can't touch that, I can't go there, I can't look at this, I can't look at that, I can't implement this, and I can't implement that. But those are just excuses. Do your research, do your personal investigation, really put yourself in it, like deep, and talk to your tutors, because they will be kind of that bridge for you that you're trying to get from concept to reality in a way. And when you're not exposed to, when you don't have when you don't have experience in practice, and you don't even have to have experience in practice, but just that whole gap of the technical design phase, it's really hard to make that leap. But your tutors have been there, they understand the elements, and when you're starting that conversation, it can really help you to devise a really sophisticated project. So have lots of fun with it, and yeah, I think it's the best stage when you don't know how to do something. Go all in. I think some other elements that I would recommend you looking at when it comes to sustainable design is looking at passive house buildings and passive house designs and how they have been constructed. This also leads into other elements such as BREEAM and LEED. Both of these are rating systems, and the more you work to meet the requirements, the more sophisticated and sustainable your proposals will be. So there we have it. That was a breakdown of the technical and sustainable integration phase that you will go through at architecture school. And it brings a close to the Designer Diaries series. I really hope that this series has brought you guys lots of valuable support and guidance. It's been so much fun creating these resources for you guys, and I hope that you're able to implement some of the tips and tricks that I have spoken about over the 4 episodes into your own projects. As always, please make sure to ask any questions you may have down in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to answer every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great week, and keep an eye out for the new style of videos that I'll be putting out on this channel. Thanks everyone, take care.